All right, all right. What's up, everybody? It's Big Cheds. I don't know if you can hear me. It is Friday, January 21st, 2022. Want to give a big shout out to everybody. This is not my normal setup. I do not have the dancing. I do not have all the fun. Want to give a big I don't have all the fun theatrics that go with that. But you know what? There's a lot of stuff going on in the market, and I want to make sure I kind of reach out and give you my thoughts here as we head into the weekend. And that's kind of what we're going to do. So I'm going to read the chat room and I'll say hello to everybody. Hey, how's everybody doing? I want to remind you, go through a couple things here. You can find me. I'm on Twitter, of course, at Big Cheds. If you're just getting started, you're not really sure like what to do, I would recommend you go to my playlist called Tutorials, Educational Live Streams. It's going to walk you through really a basic setup, how to use technical indicators, volume, basic kind of trading technique. And then from that, you'll be able to understand kind of a lot of the other stuff I'm doing on Twitter and on YouTube. So you got to start with the tutorials. I do have a book. It's published on Amazon. It's done unbelievably well. And so thank you to each and every one of you for that. Your support means a lot to me. You've got 4 possible formats. You can get the book, Kindle, audiobook, hardcover, or paperback. And once again, thank you. Now, if you can't afford the book, I've got a free version. Go to the playlist, Trading Wisdom, 50 lessons every trader should know. I'm overdue for another lesson soon. I'm going to do all 50 eventually. So I've got 10. I'll do lesson 11 soon. So please do check that out. And if you are serious about learning how to trade and you're serious about technical analysis, I'm a founding analyst at bitcoin.live, and I'm one of many in a great team. But I've been doing this for over 3 years, twice a week, long form, full market updates. I don't miss an update. So I really take a lot of pride in that. We have a wonderful team, so I encourage you to check that out. So, but you're not here to hear me talk about that. We're looking at Bitcoin and like what's going on. It's a really interesting time, and just thinking broadly, you know, as a trader, you need volatility, right? You need volatility as a trader. And a lot of the time we're sitting around and we can kind of just harken back, or we can kind of go back and think about kind of the time spent in this channel here, and think about the time spent in this channel here, just in recent memory, or even kind of extend that to that 80-day rectangle that we had back in May, June, and July. And by the way, folks, let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat room. I see everybody. Seems like everything is okay. So we think about it. Like a lot of the time, we're just sitting around and we're thinking, let's see, does it still show the screen? Everything's good. Can you see it? Good. So a lot of time, we're just sitting around thinking like, man, I wish something would happen. You know, a trader, you need volatility. You need a big flush. And even in this type of environment where clearly bears have the edge, and yes, clearly bears have dealt a really critical blow to the bulls' hopes, really, by breaking 40K, and I'll get into that briefly. But there's always room, a little bit of a room for a counter trend move. And yes, of course, it does go against classical charting principles where you do not want to be trading against the trend. But we understand with the volatility of this instrument and the volatility with Bitcoin, you know, if you drop 10K, you can bounce 3, 4K real quick. Even if you would, you know, potentially continue in that direction. I think we're overdue. We're due for a bounce very, very much right now. And I had a couple altcoins. I just took some positions in them. And, you know, if I lose money on them, fine, because I have a plan and I know like where that idea fails. So I'm going to walk you through that. And I'm going to talk about kind of that trade structuring and my philosophy and how I'm going to know when they fail. So Bitcoin, you know, obviously we've talked about 40K a million times, and really that was the key level to hold. We're below it, right? So you drop below 40K, you know, you can take a short there. I took some shorts. Other people did that. But, you know, at the very minimum, you cut your kind of speculative long positions when that happens, right? So that happens. It's a pretty big pivot. You think about a train that's going down, you know, on the railway, and it comes to, you know, there's a big junction. It's either going to go one way or the other. You have 2 very key diverging points. And when you break 40K, you have to understand that things have changed. So we're in a different environment. I put out that shields up call. A lot of people obviously noticed we were below 40K. And then look at this follow through already. So look at this, 37.4, 37.5, incredible weakness and panic and fear. But you want, as a bull, you actually need to see that. Because that's like, you know, if you're an alchemist and you're putting together a potion, you know, that's an ingredient. That's a necessary ingredient for any type of bottoming. Someone asked me, Cheds, why did you tell people to get an Ethereum today? What do you mean? I don't recall doing that. If you're referring to a tweet, please let me know. I'm happy to walk you through it. I make a lot of bad calls, and I own up to them. So, Mark, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I'm happy to address it if you want to shed some more light. So, it's an ingredient. You need panic. You need fear. Because that's what happens. What do you have at the top? You've got euphoria, you've got FOMO. And when you have closer to bottoms, you have panic and you have fear. And this is such a drastic price drop in such a relatively short period of time. I think we're due for a bounce. So let's check these alts that I took positions in. First, CRV curve. This has been a very popular one, and I like it. It's a nice uptrend, and it's a big, deep drop. Really big, deep drop. Kind of a market leader type play. 51% cut right back to the daily MA200. A rising MA200. That's a nice entry. A lot of the time, at least 60, 70% of the time, you're going to bounce off that MA200 in a trend of that strength. The same thesis here with AVAX. I am long on AVAX at the daily MA200. The case for this type of a straight, and I'm working on a book, but I have 2 other books I want to do first. But the poker and trading book has kind of the concept of like tiers of like trade entries, and this is one of them that's in that like first or second tier where you have a strong uptrend, and you've got this distance between the price and the moving average for so long, and you get that first touch, that first kind of taste of that MA200, and usually do bounce off of that most of the time. So I'd like this entry here, but you know what? I'm not going to stick around if it fails, right? So what I said earlier, here's how I'm structuring my trade. I have the reasoning behind it. I have an uptrend. I have an uptrend that's visiting a rising moving average support, one that I believe it's likely to bounce off of based on experience and based on classical charting principles. And how I'm going to manage that risk is I'll say, all right, it basically either holds that 200 or not. So how do I define that? Is it a breach below in the candle wick? Is it a candle body close? Is it 2 closes? Am I using a time interval? No, just keep it simple. I'm going to pick a horizontal level and basically say, if it can't hold above 62, I would say that the idea fails, right? And I'm setting up for an asymmetric risk reward where I'm potentially willing to lose this amount with the idea of a gain of a bounce to at least $78, $80. That's asymmetric risk, right? So I have an idea. It's a pretty good idea, but the point is, and really one of the more important points is I'll know when that idea fails and I'll abandon it. Because guess what? I can either do another trade or I could just shut off the computer. I could go watch Netflix. I can go do something else. You can't let the trade own you. You can't let a bad trade own you, where you get into the trade and you're just like, your first idea was a good idea, but it failed, and now you tried another idea and you just hold on to it forever and it owns you. Another one I like and I'm going long on is Matic. Look at Matic, okay? Beautiful, beautiful trend. And I made the point. I did a podcast. I did a video with Ivan on Tech, and I talked about the controlled consolidation of this. And this is what you see. This is nice. And people panic within these moves, but there's normal consolidation within an uptrend. And when it grinds like this, it can continue for a long time. And with technical analysis, it's until proven otherwise. So MA200 is support until proven otherwise. This is like a layup of a trade entry, kind of in this zone here. So how do I define when the idea fails? Every idea, you need to be able to define when that idea fails. And so I'd say, okay, right there. If I break below, if I'm entering right around 160, below 155, my idea fails. And that's the whole thing. You gotta think about your mentality, how you're structuring your trades, and when you're risking your hard-earned money, your hard-fought for money, how are you protecting yourself? How are you defining that risk? And that's knowing when the idea fails. Rishi says, I appreciate you, Cheds. I appreciate you folks. So I do appreciate you folks. Ines Caselli, is there a place to learn with you? Yes, please do join Bitcoin Live. Twice a week, full market updates. I answer every question on the videos, and these are my people. So check out Bitcoin Live. That's how you can learn with me, okay? Just reading some of the comments in the chat room, if you just allow me a moment to catch up. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I thought it would be a value for me to go briefly here, to go live briefly and do a quick video. So that's kind of the concept of those altcoins, all right? Look at that, right at the MA200. When the market, you want to flush. All right. And because the flush brings opportunity, it brings that price movement outside of a standard deviation. It brings that overextension. I scanned the whole market, right? Bitcoin looks pretty tough here. Bitcoin looks pretty tough. Look at that. As we speak, 36K. We are now, my main thesis has been 40K. And if 40K fails, we're looking at 30K. And it's just a matter of how we get down there. We're heading for the middle channel support. Little bit of support, right? The middle of the channel, the 80-day rectangle. But I really think, we're probably going to hit 30K sooner or later, given that we broke this level, 40K level. We have so many time points over time where the price was tested and affirmed as just kind of being the level. So you have to respect that. That's a big market break. And we spent a lot of time at 30K. I think it makes sense that we go back and we revisit it. But in the meantime, with this, the point I wanted to make and why I'm here, with this violent a move, you're going to get a mean reversion. Look, where's the daily EMA 8? All right, the green line. Throughout this consolidative period, and go back and watch my videos, I've had a pretty good pulse on the price action. You get these bounces from oversold to the EMA 8, oversold, and if you're really lucky, EMA 34, the yellow line. I put out a tweet. I said, curb your enthusiasm. It was right around here where I said we haven't even broken, EMA 34 yet. So you get that kind of two-tiered resistance where you get those mean reversions where they're probably going to at least bounce to EMA 8. So we're due for a bounce to EMA 8. Look at that, 35.5. Wow, 35.8. I should be tweeting rather than doing this video. But so this is what we're looking at. We're in a period of extreme fear. And given how big a daily candle this is, we're at 6K. Like, you're gonna have a pretty sick bounce here at some point, and we're getting the ingredients we need for a bounce, which is fear. You need fear. You need capitulation. You need volume. Look at that volume. This is the largest volume candle now. Going back to June or July, and that was right in the middle of that 80-day rectangle. So we're getting some of the components we need. If you're not sure and you're having trouble, just do nothing. I'm telling you, even like a bad trade or a failed trade. I've clearly had way more failed trades than winning trades in my career, right? And a lot of what I do is I'm trying to atone for all my mistakes of early trading. And I'll tell you, like, when you finally capitulate sometimes, on like a bad idea, you feel better. Even if you've lost 80%, it's like there's this light, you have this lifted from you, this burden kind of lifted from you. I can't tell you what to do when deals, I really try to stay away from that. Like, I am here to empower you and kind of give you kind of my wisdom from what, I can tell you what makes sense to me. And that's all I can really do. And I try to be right more than I'm wrong, and I try to own my mistakes, but I don't want to tell you what to do, because if I tell you to sell here, and it goes to 40K, you're going to tell me it cost you money. So, I don't want credit either, because it's all on you. If you made money on some of my tweets, you made money. I didn't make it. So congratulations to you for that. I'm reading the chat room. Good to see everybody. I don't really want to do I guess I could do a couple requests just for fun. Someone asked me about FTM. FTM. I mean, this is I look at this and I'm like, I want to buy this when it bottoms. I mean, I just know that. This is what you look at. You understand the concept of relative strength. We've talked about it a lot. Look at that. CRV held up pretty well. So CRV is basically right where it was when Bitcoin was about, $700-800 later higher. So I've been just observing that. So these are holding up pretty well. So I see this chart. It's got relative strength. Whether it bought, we're at MA50. That's a decent entry. You want to think about. I get all these, I get so many notifications, and if I miss yours, and I apologize, I didn't respond. But I can't, and it's but I try to, and all that. And a lot of them are people, I'll put out something's bullish, and people will say go long here. They'll just ask me that. They'll say bullish, or they'll say go long here, and it's what I often say to them is, well, what's your thesis? If you're saying go long here, it's what's your thesis? Well, here's the thesis. A thesis is a potential bounce off the daily MA50. I mean, because when I say what's your thesis, you need to know when the idea fails. There can be no trade that you take, which is that you'll never know when the idea fails. What is the point of that? Every trade you enter, you need to say, okay, here's my idea and here it failed. Here's where it failed. So this would be a spot where you'd say, I'm entering at the, the daily MA50. It's an uptrend. I want to buy. I noted kind of the rejection here. I noted how we kind of gained the MA50 here, and we're doing the throwback. You could say I'm doing a throwback to a moving average. I think that's a quite reasonable tactic to structure your trade. And then you say, well, how do I know I failed? Ideally, you're going to use a horizontal nearby. So maybe I'd say and if you want to be a little bit looser, right in that range, right? That's a little bit high, a little bit too much though for me. That's more, it's too much. I'd probably be more right around there. I'd be like, okay, I'm at MA50, and if I lose, the January 10th low. So that's how I might approach a trade and structure a trade. But like FTM, it's on my radar. I have everything. I have 1 million on my watch list, but this is my job. Like, I do this to provide signals for you folks and learning and education. But if you're trading, you should have like 5, maybe 10 things in your watch list, and you need to study those. Because if you study what if you play what you've been studying, all of a sudden it works. You get it, you understand. Okay, so you keep that in mind. You need to be studying and watching the strongest stuff. So like FTM's on your watch list. It's one of the strongest ones. It's been the strongest. FTL, I'll move it up here with Matic, Curve, AVAX. That's the concept. Near too. I mean, near. How can I not talk about near? You guys, this was just mega. This was king of the hill like a minute ago. You're looking to buy. Look at that. Are you kidding me? A lower Bollinger Band dip on near. I mean, and it's a nice throwback to the tweezer top that was eventually overcome from let's get that out of there. I get it. From the middle of December. I mean, that's gorgeous. You got to think about being a value buyer. You're a value buyer. You're buying near here. Boom, 12. You're already at 13. That's one I should have. I'm kind of mad at myself for missing that. So the point is, Bitcoin breaks 40K. All right, Bitcoin breaks 40K. You sell your weak alts. You're trying to get link bounce, but you're stubborn. Get out. I get so you're trying to get your dot bounce. Like, get out, right? Look at this thing. Forget about it, right? Broke out of that channel. See you later. When it breaks, you sell the ones that weren't even the strongest. And the strongest, maybe you hold, but probably you shouldn't. But the point is, when Bitcoin bottoms, and it will give you a bounce, you want to know what AVAX is doing. Luna, you want to know what Luna's doing. Like, this is like make it easy on yourself. Just watch Curve, AVAX, Matic, FTM, Luna, Near, like just the best stuff, just the best. Only try to trade those. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at your results if you all of a sudden start to only play uptrends and try to buy dips and uptrends. You'll be amazed how well you do. Stop messing around with reversals. Stop messing around trying to guess the bottom. So that's enough. That was a real nice update. I want you to know that I appreciate you. I appreciate each and every one of you. You can find me. I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds, academic observations about price, trading psychology. The book is on Amazon. I really appreciate all your support. If you can't afford the book, I'm doing it for free. I'll have the whole book for free eventually. Done 10 of 50 lessons. I'll have another one coming soon. Next, I'll do one early next week. If you're just getting started, I recommend reading a textbook, but really go watch my tutorial. Like, this is a textbook. Watch my latest text tutorial. It will blow your mind. All of a sudden, you'll start seeing clearly. It will help you out. You gotta check it out. It will help you out. Watch my videos. I think there's a lot of great stuff here, and I have great guests on my interviews. I just had an interview with AK Karush AK. It was great. And if you really want to learn how to trade, if you want to actually learn legitimate trading, I'm a founding analyst, bitcoin.live. It is the best in class educational platform for crypto. I am incredibly dedicated to it, proud of what I do. We have a great team. Definitely recommend you check it out. No dancing today. I'm sorry about that. There's going to be no dancing, no music. I'll maybe I'll do that next week. So I'm just in a different place today, but I thought, I got to go live. So I went live. Really appreciate you folks. And I guess we'll talk again soon.